Hello and welcome to episode 115 of Tom's Hirschsprung's podcast. I'm joined this evening by Hannah, and we have a fascinating story to tell. Welcome to the podcast, Hannah.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and share my stories. Thank you.
It's a fascinating one, and obviously I'll let you tell it and get into it. But it's a story I think people will really it's possibly can't even believe it's that sort of it's that um incredible. I guess incredible might be the word, but yeah, I guess it's up to you kind of where you want to start from, but over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I feel like I have some notes because I wanted to try and keep everything in chronological order because I feel like I can get all over the place really easily. But I'm 24. I have always, since I was young, I always had these like chronic stomach issues from the time I was young. I think my earliest memory was maybe age 4, and I mean, up and like from newborn to age 4, I don't really have any memories, but talking to my parents, they said I was pretty normal. I was born in a birthing center, so I wasn't born in a hospital, so they didn't have nurses and doctors coming to check on me and be like, did she pee? Did she poop? Like all that. So I was born at 3 p.m. in the birthing center, and my parents were home by 6 p.m. So they didn't really, they were like, yeah, she's good, good to go. So I went home, and my mom said the midwife came maybe a couple days later and was like, how's she doing? Like, how's she looking? How are you feeling? All that. So I actually did pass stool as a newborn. I don't know how much, but I think I'll get into this later, but I think that's why my doctors were like, definitely can't be Hirschsprung's. Like, you passed the stool when you were a baby. Like, that's one of the major things they look for. So I think since I did pass the stool, they were like, okay, she's good. So I don't know, growing up, I always had like chronic pain and like just this constant bloating and fatigue. I was always tired. I was very active as a kid, but I remember like coming home from school and saying, I need to take a nap. I'm exhausted. And my mom's like, you're 7. Like, why are you so tired? And I just, I have a memory of coming home from school and my stomach was hurting really, really badly. And I like was leaned over the couch and I was kind of like rocking back and forth like a laboring mom. And my mom delivers babies and she's like, you look like you're like a laboring mom. And my doctors were saying like maybe that's her way of trying to like get things moving because I was so like constipated and I had so much backed up in there that like that movement kind of helped me like be able to pass a little bit of stool. But I from a young age, like I was on laxatives, I was taking Miralax like twice a day. My doctors were like, I don't know, like it's definitely not Hirschsprung's. Like that was ruled out when I was a kid. I had a workup done at Children's Hospital. I think I was about 8 years old, and they did some testing. I don't really remember what it was, but I think they did like 2 procedures, and they were like, it's definitely not Hirschsprung's, and they were a children's hospital, so I think kind of specialize in that. I'm not too sure, but they were like, it's not that, so let's just keep her on like the same laxative regimen, and nothing was working. I remember like I would just always, it would be coming out the other end. Like I would be sick, like throwing up, but it wasn't working down there. So as a kid, obviously, I don't want to be drinking that stuff. I don't want to be taking pills at like 9 years old. So I would hide the pills. I would pretend to drink my medicine. And my parents and I had like a really kind of interesting relationship growing up because they were like, we want to help you and we want to make you feel better. But I was like, the medicine's not working and like no one's listening. So I went to the same pediatrician until I was like 18. And then I started seeing a new doctor at a new hospital. And I got a GI specialist, I think, when I was like 19 or 20. And same testing, like, let's do a colonoscopy and endoscopy, like all of these things. And they were like, the findings are normal. Like, they'd show me the report and be like, everything's normal and it's not this, it's not that. So I think it was really frustrating, especially as I got older, because I was like, obviously, if I could have this not happen, I would want that. Like, I don't want to be in chronic pain. I'll try all these medications, but I think constantly doing that was just doing like more damage to my body in the end because I was like taking all of these medications and none of it was working. So it was kind of just this cycle that I was stuck in. And I, when I was about 20, I was out with my friends and I had to go to the bathroom, but I couldn't pee. I couldn't urinate. So I was really worried because I was like, this is really weird. Like, obviously, I'm constipated all the time. Like, I can't like pass any stool, but I was like, why can't I pee? That's really weird. So I was like sitting there for 10 minutes, nothing was coming out. I was so in pain. I like my belly was really distended. I was super uncomfortable. I went home, ended up going to the ER, and they gave me a catheter and drained out like 2 liters of urine. So I think within the span of maybe like 6 hours, I accumulated that much and then it wasn't coming out. So they were super worried, but they ended up sending me home with the catheter in. I came back a couple days later, had it removed, and I mean, it's an ER. So I told them about like my chronic constipation and they did an ultrasound and they were like, we can see that all of this stool is really compacted and it's kind of weighing on your like other organs and that's why you weren't able to pee. So that was really scary. That was the first time that that happened to me. And I think it was kind of a realization of like, this is getting really bad and affecting me in a way that had never affected me before. So that happened again like 6 months later, and then like a couple months later, and I was in the urgent care and emergency room a lot for not being able to urinate. So I ended up switching insurance when I was about almost 20, almost 22, I think. And I saw a new GI doctor, and then she was like, I'm out of options. I don't know what to do. Like, we've done all the testing, we've done like all the medications, like, we don't know what it is. And she kind of just like sent me on my merry way. And I was crying to my mom, and I'm like, this is so frustrating. Like, I became such an advocate for myself, but I feel like I don't know. I felt like I wasn't being heard and kind of just like, okay, like you'll figure it out. Like it's nothing like too serious, even though I feel like it was really serious. So, one thing I will like jump back to, since I was a kid, I was chronically constipated and I had something called encoparesis, which is like the leaking around the stool in the colon. So as a kid and growing up as like a teenager and stuff, experiencing that and always having like anxiety when it came to like the bathroom or like anything like that. Like I feel like my childhood was really different because I wasn't going to sleepovers. I wasn't going to the pool. I wasn't like, I didn't like going to the beach. I was really embarrassed. And I think it kind of goes back to like my parents and I's relationship where they were like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, I'm a teenager. Like, if I could help it, of course I would. It's like so embarrassing and really hard. So, that was like my main concern, especially growing up in my 20s. I was like, I can't be living like this. Like, my quality of life was just awful. So, when I met with the GI doctor, I was explaining to her all of my concerns. I was like, I honestly will try anything that I haven't tried already. And she was just like, I don't know what else to do. So, I met with a colorectal surgeon, and it was my first time ever meeting with one, so I didn't really know what to expect. I knew a surgery was probably in my future. I just didn't know what kind. And met with him. He did like just a normal like workup exam, and he's like, okay, obviously they've ruled out XYZ. Let's talk about the other options. And the first thing he brought up to me was the ostomy bag. And he's like, if you've tried everything up to this point, nothing's worked. Like, I could do this for you. Like, it's worked for like a lot of my other patients that experience symptoms similar to yours. And I was crying, and I think I was crying because I was nervous, of course, but I think it was like a relief that maybe something could finally work for me. So that was in May of 2024, and my surgery was scheduled for October. He was super busy and backed up with surgeries and everything like that. So he was like, if you can get through these next couple months, which, living my whole life and having to go a couple more months wasn't a huge deal. But um, yeah, that time came. I went to the hospital. They admitted me like a couple days prior. They had me try and drink Go Lightly. They had me try and drink a bunch of, laxatives, mag citrate, all those fun things, and nothing was working. So he's like, okay, we tried it. That was the last time we'll ever do that. Um, and then I had my ostomy surgery on October 10th of 2024. And yeah, so it's been over a year now, but it's crazy. I feel like that I never thought that that would be the thing that fixed me, but I woke up and obviously looking at that bag on my stomach was really hard. I feel like I never thought it would have come to something like that, but I'm very grateful, and I've been living the last like year and couple months pain free for the most part. I've only been to the doctor like a couple times since then for like checkups and everything, but the bloating and the fatigue and nausea and all that is gone. I'm not on any medications. I can live a pretty normal life now. So it's really crazy just thinking about where I came from and where I am now and how long it took, of course. But yeah, my colorectal surgeon was the one that diagnosed me with Hirschsprung's. And yeah, so I think it was relieving to get an answer and kind of like this is what's wrong. And like even though it took us up until this point, this is what you have and this is how we can help you. And yeah, I still don't know how I made it this far. He doesn't really know either, but um yeah, I guess that's kind of all of it in a nutshell. But I've been living really, really like my quality of life has improved a lot since getting my ostomy. So super grateful for that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like an enormous amount to go through for, well, over 20 years. And I think one
Mhm.
important part you made at the start was that you passed the meconium, which
Mhm.
I know and you know as well is something where a symptom of Hirschsprung's is obviously not passing the meconium, but I think it's also really important to note that it's not the be all end all of
Right.
Hirschsprung's because you passed the meconium, I passed meconium as well. So it's
Mhm.
not, it's, you can do that and still have Hirschsprung's. So
Mhm.
when was, because you mentioned that Hirschsprung's was constantly ruled out throughout your
Mhm.
childhood. It's like, well, you can't have it, you can't have it, you can't have
Mhm.
it. When
Mhm.
was sort of the first time it was brought up and then kind of dismissed? Was that really early on, or was it just sort of constant throughout?
I would say it was kind of early on. I think I was at the doctor all the time as a young kid and like a toddler and growing up and stuff. But my earliest memory of like age 7 or 8 when I went to Children's Hospital and I had that whole workup done there. And they did a bunch of testing. I think that was the first time since probably like my doctor in the very beginning when I was just born said, "No, it's not Hirschsprung's." We heard it again at Children's and they were like, "It can't be Hirschsprung's. Like if she passed the stool as a baby and she's going like she's passing stool still, like it can't be Hirschsprung's." But I was even as a kid only pooping like once every week maybe or like every as I got older it got really bad. I think I was going like once every almost 2 weeks and it was painful and not fun.
Oh, it doesn't sound like a lot of fun at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's and obviously you know, and I know that you are a huge advocate for, speak up and
Mhm.
ostomies and for if something doesn't feel right, then saying that it doesn't feel right. And obviously
Yes.
from a
Yeah.
young age, you knew that so that something wasn't right. You're only
Yeah.
going once every week and a half, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know that something's not right. That must be so frustrating to then be told by different specialists
Hmm. Hmm.
that, it's, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Was there a point of you that thought, well, is this just me? Is this just like
Yeah.
how my life is going to be forever?
Yeah, 100%. I think I got to a time in my life where I think I was like a teenager. I was probably in like middle school, and I was like, okay, obviously, if this were happening when I was a kid, I would have probably been better by now. It probably would have just fixed itself, or if something was seriously wrong, I would have been told so. And I kind of just was like, is it in my head? Like, am I making it worse? Like, am I doing this on purpose? And that was again a huge thing with my parents. They were like, "You're a teenager, like get it together. We potty trained you or tried to potty train you, and obviously it didn't work." And I don't blame them. I think it's really hard with Hirschsprungs, I think too, because but really just any any like illness. I don't really know, but like I think it was really hard. There was a lot of back and forth of like, okay, if you can fix this, like fix it. You can walk to the bathroom, you can go and not have accidents and not leak in like your underwear and all this stuff. But I feel like I was constantly like, no, like it's something more, something that's out of my control. And I was told to try like a number of things, like change your diet, try like maybe it's stress, maybe it's anxiety. I was even in therapy from a really young age, and they thought that could fix it, but obviously it was something way deeper than that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I come back to that word again, frustration. That's got to be
Hmm.
when you know that something is physically the matter. You know that something is
Yeah.
is physically not right, but you're being told it's an
Hmm.
emotional issue, it's a mental issue, it's this, that, the other. I can't, and it's almost, I don't know whether gaslighting's the right word.
Hmm.
Possibly is the
Yeah,
right word. It's
totally.
that. No, actually, yeah, it is the right word.
Yeah.
But it being told constantly that you're the one that's wrong, and
Hmm.
you know in your heart of hearts that it's not. And I just to have to go through, not just childhood with all of
Hmm.
that. And I understand where people are coming from when they say, well, if it was Hirschsprung's, it would have been sorted. But you are a
Hmm.
prime case where people can be diagnosed late on. It has
Yeah.
happened.
Hmm.
Several times I've heard of people who've been diagnosed in their late teens, early 20s. And
Hmm.
I know we were talking a little bit off air that I find incredible how you got through that time. Was there anything that you did that kind of alleviated any of the chronic pain, or anything that you did that you had sort of good days and bad days, or was it just every day was just bad day?
I would say I I did have days that were a little easier and where it didn't seem as bad. I think the prime time in my life where I kind of felt it getting better and kind of had that hope that maybe this is going to be fixed was around high school. So I was like 15 to maybe like 17 or 18. I was super active. I was dancing. I was on the cheer team in high school, and I think being super active and always moving around kind of helped my body kind of be able to alleviate some of that like constipation because I was like moving so much. I was drinking a lot of water. I was eating semi-healthy. I don't know, but I think I was, along with the medications that weren't working, I think the combination of being healthy and active, it kind of helped my body move things along a little bit. But for the most part, I mean, I have a lot of bad days, but I think it just became like that was my normal. Like I woke up every morning with a stomach ache. I'd cry to my mom and be like, please don't send me to school today. And like, I just don't feel good. And I think it just, I became accustomed to living like that. And it was kind of like I'm comfortable being uncomfortable because that was my normal. So it was just every day was just this constant cycle of discomfort and pain. And I think I kind of just was like, okay, if I'm gonna have a stomach ache, I'm gonna like eat this ice cream, even though my stomach's already hurting. Like it's gonna hurt anyways. It's gonna hurt when I wake up. Like it was just this like this constant thing.
So, well, it's hurting anyway. I might as well just do whatever. It's not going to make a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's it's yeah, it's interesting when you say your sort of new normal was just being in pain the whole time. I mean, that's awful. It's this idea that oh well, I'm just going to be in pain all the time, and that's sort of on that sliding scale of if you had your normal day, it would be everybody else's really bad day. But to
Yeah.
you, it's just a normal day, and a good day is when
Yeah.
you're probably not in no pain, but just in less pain.
Mhm. Yeah,
Which is just
exactly.
it's just absolutely awful. And but I guess what was it like being sort of finally listened to?
It was I like I find it hard to like find the words because I feel like saying I'm grateful and like saying it changed my life is such an understatement. I feel like this doctor, I like sat down with him and my mom came with me to the appointment and he just sat there and like hit record on his phone and was like, I'm gonna record all of this just so I have it and I can go transcribe it into my notes and so I don't miss anything. And I was like, yeah, totally good. Like I don't know. Like I felt like I was like, okay, he's actually gonna listen to everything I say, and like there will be like a written thing or printed out thing with everything I've said. And I think it was such a relief, and I was so excited. I feel like knowing I was getting the ostomy bag was the harder part for me, of course. But I was like, if this is it and this can be like my relief and help me live a more normal life and um lead me to be able to do the things I want to do, like why would I not do this? So I think yeah, I was super grateful, super happy and just I always had like a negative um like thought when I thought about like the doctor, the hospital or anything like that. Like I'm like they don't listen, they don't like want to help me. Like it's so frustrating and I definitely gave up when I was younger. I feel like I was like this is just how it's going to be, but I think meeting with that doctor when I did came at the perfect time and he was just like I want to help you. I like this is what I do. This is why I do what I do. So I'm super grateful and very blessed to have met him and his team that helped me.
Absolutely, but that makes perfect sense that you had negative thoughts around hospitals and
Mhm.
you know, I think that's the same with a lot of people, especially because it's not a happy place, or certainly wasn't a happy
Mhm.
place for many, many, many
Yeah.
years. Because, as
Yeah.
you've said, you go to, whether it be children's or whether it be a different hospital, and
Hmm.
everyone either says the same thing, or they haven't listened, or they've just kind
Hmm.
of been just, oh, well, take this and, disappear out my sight type thing. So
Hmm.
naturally, you're going to turn up to hospital appointments, I presume, going, oh, here we go again. Here's
Yeah, of
another,
course.
I'm going to sit here. They're
Mhm.
going to tell me a bunch of things that I don't believe, and then I'm going to
Mhm.
disappear again, and then I'll be back in a
Yeah.
few weeks because my stomach will hurt again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that makes absolute sense that you had, negative thoughts around that, and but so good that you found someone who certainly, looked like he wanted to really help and wanted to,
Mhm.
because being in pain the whole time is not normal.
Hmm.
It's so
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, and I guess you probably had the same thought of, am I going mad here? Or am I
Hmm.
just, being in pain is not a normal thing. If the body is in
Yeah,
pain, the body is telling you something. It's
of
telling
course.
you
Yeah.
that something somewhere isn't right.
Hmm.
And in the end, there's got to be something that's going to, fix that or medication or whatever. So I guess I guess that was kind of a relief that you sort of thought actually being in pain all the time isn't normal. I don't have to be
Yeah.
like this.
Something was wrong, actually. I knew it.
Yeah, yeah, but it's no, that's really good that you found someone who kind of listened in
Mhm.
the end, and it's but I want to talk a little bit about the ostomy as well because I know you're a really, really good advocate. No, advocate.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
advocate's the right word. Sorry, I'm
Yes.
struggling with words.
No, that's
Um,
okay.
but a really, really good advocate for ostomy
Mhm.
surgery. And obviously, there are people who have Hirschsprungs and have ostomies, or they have
Mhm.
ace Malones, or they have various types of stomas. And there are people who have no stomas, such as
Mhm.
the way with Hirschsprungs. It's so different for everybody. But
Yeah.
how have you kind of transitioned over the last, let's say, couple of years or so um, since 2024
Yes.
into having an ostomy? What's that transition been like?
I feel like really tough. I feel like I only show the really good parts, like on my TikTok and in the videos I make. I try to be very positive because I think I try and look at life in a very positive way. And I feel like when I was told I was getting my ostomy, I was, again, I think I said this earlier, crying. I was excited, but I was super nervous for what that was going to look like for me. And being like a young woman too, I feel like I had never really heard of like an ostomy or like what that was. And if I did hear of it, I was like, oh, like I think older people have that. Like I don't think younger people have that. And I think right before my surgery, I was going on Instagram and TikTok and looking it up, and I was finding people online like Paula, the girl that makes like the bag covers, and then Sarah, she's the model, and I think she lives in Canada. But I loved seeing that 'cause I was like, wow, like they're young like me and they're like totally rocking it. So I'm like, it can't be like as bad as what I'm thinking it'll be like. So getting my ostomy and waking up that day and looking at it for the first time, I think totally freaked me out. But every day that went by, I think was a little easier. I think it was an adjustment, learning how to change it and care for it and make sure I was staying healthy. And then also just like the mental aspect of it, like my body image and looking in the mirror, and now I like have a bag that's permanently attached to my body. Like I never really see myself without it other than, changing it. And I look in the mirror and it's really hard some days because I'm like, oh, like there was a time when, but back then I was so sick. So it's like I don't even want to go back to that because I feel like I've adjusted to this life and living pain free and having such like a different outlook on life now. I feel like I'm just really grateful. So I think living with an ostomy, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I feel like it truly like saved my life and gave me like a brand new lease on life. I don't know. So I think I have bad days, of course, but I think majority of my days are really good days now, and I'm total advocate for it because I think it can really change your life.
Absolutely. No, I think that's brilliant. You mentioned a couple of people there who have ostomies or ostomy bags, but
Mhm.
sort of to a lot of their social media in a positive light, which I think is brilliant because I think it's
Mhm.
so easy, especially with chronic illness, to be negative, to say,
Yeah.
oh, this hurts and that hurts, and
Mhm.
and that's okay to say, to be sort of upfront and honest, like we have been for the last
Yeah.
half an hour, and say, look, there are
Yeah.
times when things are, when things aren't great.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I do love the way that you are very positive about it, and whether it's a lot more common than it was maybe 10 years ago or so, or whether we just see it more because presumably you're like me, you follow a lot of people with stomach
Mhm.
illnesses and ostomies, and whether
Yeah.
we just see it more because of social media, I don't know.
Mhm.
But there certainly seems to be a lot of people who have stomas of various kinds.
Mhm.
And I think you yourself included have become such great advocates and real inspirations for people because again, it's one of those things like anything in life, whether it be a sport or whether it be a medical condition.
Mhm.
If you see somebody, people can tell you all you like that this will be like this and this will be like that, but actually, if you
Mhm.
see someone like
Yeah.
yourself doing really well
Yeah.
with an ostomy, I guess that. makes a lot more difference than someone telling you.
Totally. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. Seeing it and like seeing people post about it, I was like, okay, they're living like normal lives. They're going out, they're going to the beach, they're traveling, they're, playing sports. I don't know. So I think it was really nice seeing all that. It kind of gave me like peace of mind and made me a little less scared, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Because again, I can imagine it's especially if you haven't had because again with Hirschsprung, some people have a stoma and then they might have it reversed, but obviously you
Hmm.
weren't diagnosed at the
Yeah.
at the time where everyone else is usually diagnosed. So
Hmm.
having so you hadn't had the stoma before, or so then see having a stoma then kind of um yeah becomes a huge change in life. But
Yeah.
what kind of things, are you able to sort of go out more now and this, that, the other? So how has sort of life changed, I guess, socially?
Yeah, I feel like in the beginning it took me a couple months to kind of get out and start seeing friends again and doing what I love to do. I used to go line dancing all the time. I still kind of do, but I wasn't going as often back then because I was healing and all that, but getting back into that and hanging out with friends and it took me a while to like go to the beach for the first time with it or go swimming with it or even like take a shower with it. Like I don't know, I feel like there were a lot of things where I was really nervous too, but I was able to like tell my friends and of course it's kind of an awkward topic because I feel like, you don't really understand unless you're going through it. But I think I have such a great support system that really can, empathize and understand to an extent how it affects me and all that. But my parents have been great. I have two brothers that have been super supportive about it as well. I met my boyfriend maybe like 6 months after my surgery. So meeting him and telling him about it was really nerve-wracking, but he has some knowledge of what it was and kind of just sharing my story. I think he was super understanding and super supportive about it. So, although I was really nervous, I think telling him and telling friends and even family and just describing what it is and how it affects me, I think that was the scariest part. But I did that. I'm able to travel. I went on a cruise, I went on a plane. I've been able to do a lot of stuff. And so, I think although it affects me to an extent, I think I can like the pros significantly outweigh the cons. And even then with the cons, I'm like, what's so bad about it? Like I have to change it every like couple days, but that's 10 minutes and then I'm good and on my way. So yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, I guess 10 minutes is a lot better than being 24 hours chronic
Yeah.
pain. If you do if
Yeah.
we do the maths.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
it's it doesn't sound, it doesn't sound so much of a chore.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
but yeah, that's brilliant though that you have such an amazing support network and a support system. And
Mhm.
and like you said, I guess it is, pretty nerve-wracking when you tell family members and partners because you think,
Yes.
will they understand? Will they,
Mhm.
will they, get what I'm going through or why I have this or, whatever. But I guess when you tell people, and I guess some people react in different ways, but
Mhm.
it's so good to hear that they were so supportive. Did they want to kind of know more about it, or was it just kind of, oh, okay, cool, and move on?
Yeah. Yeah, I think with my parents, my mom's a nurse, like I said earlier, so she delivers babies, so it's different because her specialty is not like GI stuff, but she would help me change it and my nurse would come and help me do like bag changes in the beginning and my mom was super involved. Same with my dad. He was like I think a little freaked out by it at first, understandably so. I mean, I couldn't even look at it. I think for a couple weeks I was so freaked out by it. But yeah, my parents have been great. My brothers are like, like we don't judge you. It is what it is. Like you're living such a better life now, so it's like so happy for you.
No, that's brilliant. And your boyfriend the same, I presume. He just kind of,
Yeah.
you know, um, just yeah, was he the sort of the same
Yeah.
as everyone
No,
else? Or
yeah, he's been great. He's super understanding. I think I like talk about it and I'm more like I don't know, like self-conscious of it than he is. Like he's like it's part of you, but it's not like completely who you are and like it doesn't change how I feel about you or change like, it like it's just there. And like I'm so glad it made like helped you feel better and has led us to be able to like do all these things like travel and do all those fun things. So,
brilliant. That's
yeah.
amazing. No, that's because he's absolutely right. You know, your quality of life is, you know, I presume a thousand times better than it
Yeah.
was, or certainly as you've described it, a thousand
Yeah.
times better than it was, you know, pre
Mhm.
ostomy. And I think
Yes.
you're very much living proof when people maybe get concerned when they hear the word stoma, or you know,
Mhm.
because presumably you were given a choice as to whether you had it or not. And
Yeah.
obviously a lot of people
Yeah.
have to make that choice, and they maybe think, oh, if it's, you know, it's permanent and it's going to be like this or like that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you are living proof that, you know, when people do have a stoma, you know, lives can very much
Yeah.
improve tenfold, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like that's why I'm such a big advocate and like I post online and stuff. I think it's really nerve-wracking posting and being vulnerable and like
Yeah.
showing it and showing like the reality to it. Cause I don't like to just show like, oh, it's perfect all the time. Like I talk about how it takes like the mental toll on me and I do have bad days, of course, but I think posting about it has kind of been like an outlet for me and it's kind of therapeutic in a way. Cause I feel like, it's one thing to like call my mom and be like, "Oh, like I want to like rant to her about this," but I'm like, I want to post it online and have people be able to see it and know that like there's light at the end of the tunnel. And like if you do have an ostomy or you're getting an ostomy, like life can be significantly better.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And I love it as well. And you're doing, you know, by posting and by, I guess, by doing this as well, you're doing the
Mhm.
same thing as the people you looked up to were doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
people like Sarah. So you're sort of carrying that on as well, which I
Mhm.
think is amazing. And kudos
Yeah.
to you, because I think that's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
just, I guess my last question really, it's just kind of the future for you. I know we've talked about a lot medically that's happened in the past,
Mhm.
and you have your ostomy now. But I guess,
Mhm.
what do you sort of hope for the future for you?
I would say it's hard because I feel like I
It's
think
tricky.
about it sometimes, but I'm like, I don't know, like I live in the now, but then I like sit in my bed at night and I'm like, okay, like I am getting older, like I'm like, what's
Getting
in the
older, you're
future? So
24.
yeah, I know, but I'm like, I'm growing up, so I feel like it's just I do think about my future a lot, and I do have a temporary ostomy, technically speaking. I have a colostomy. I do still have part of my colon left. I have the opportunity for a reversal in the future if I want it. I feel like I've kind of been given the option whether to just keep my ostomy or try the reversal. If the reversal works, great. If it doesn't, I'll have an ileostomy after that. So I think I think of my life in two different ways. Like if I have to have an ostomy for the rest of my life, I've already lived the last year with doing so much more than I could have ever thought. So if I do have to live the rest of my life with an ostomy, like I'll be happy if I get the chance to have it reversed and I can be healthy without a bag, then that's great. But I feel like I don't know, I'm in school. I'm hoping to be an ultrasound tech once I finish school. So that's kind of my career future, but I think just living like I don't know, day by day, very positive and just keep sharing my story and hope to, I don't know, inspire people and just I think it's important to keep advocating for yourself, especially if you feel like deep down in your gut like I don't know, like just keep advocating and someone will listen to you. I feel like it's easy to lose hope and kind of just take it as it is and be like, I think this is just how I'm gonna have to live life. But I think, yeah, just stand up for yourself and you know your body better than anyone else. So,
Absolutely. Well, I think
yeah.
I wish you the best with the ultrasound. I think you'll
Thank
definitely
you.
come at it with a lot of experience.
Yeah,
So
totally.
so I
Yeah.
think you'll
Thank
be
you.
absolutely brilliant at that. And that
Thank
if
you.
anybody does present with Hirschsprungs, you'll be able to tell them.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I
Totally.
know you said just finally, you said you do a lot of advocating on social media, on Instagram and TikTok especially. Where can people find you on those?
So on my Instagram, it's my life with Stella with like an extra A at the end. I can post on my TikTok, maybe like the link to that, but my TikTok is the same as well. My life with Stella with extra A at the end.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so
It's been
much.
another amazing story. Incredible story, and I know it goes without saying, but I wish you all the best in terms of your health, your
Thank
career
you.
as well. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. Thank you.